Well, it's been a week of Big Brother, and I did predict in my last power rankings the person who was going to leave. Will I be able to do it again? And who is my new number one? Let's find out 15 to 1 here on Josh's Movies. That's right. It is Power Ranking Tuesday, and it's been an interesting week in the house. It's been a wild week in the house, and I am kind of confident, but I'm also not confident how this vote is going to go. Right now, it appears the house is on Lisa, but as we go through my power rankings, I'm going to explain why I think it might change overall. And that starts overall with my number 15th, my bottom ranked house guest is Angela. She had a confrontation with Quinn this week that turned a lot of the house on the edge. And just recently, she started turning on Tucker and really hinting that she knows about this power. And I think she said one of the most stupidest things in the world that will get her evicted later this week. And that is, I won't tell you who has the power unless I'm leaving. Why are you going to tell a whole bunch of house guests that are going to vote for you, vote whether you're going to keep you or not this week, unless you win the AI comp, that you won't tell them the information unless you leave? Because now they have incentive to vote you out instead of Lisa. Just makes no sense. It just came off as kind of combative. People think she's a little bit crazy a little bit now. I think they'll 100% believe Quinn has the power, and that very much has affected my power rankings for Quinn from this afternoon to tonight, and we'll go into that later. But Angela, to me, I think is just going to be poking the buttons just a little bit too much this week, and I think she is going to be going home, in my opinion, and that's why she's ranked number 15th. She has no chance at winning this game. She can't win any of the physical comps. She is ostracized, even her closest of close allies. She is at the very bottom of my power ranking. 14th again, though, is Lisa. And Lisa hasn't done much to help her game at all this week. I don't know if she knows she voted for Matt or not, but she's definitely putting off to the world that she didn't vote for Matt. She voted with the house, and the house is kind of knowing, no, Lisa, you're the only person who could have voted for Matt. We trust everybody else in the house that they voted Matt out. And because so many people were so sure about Angela having the power, they think, so sure about Lisa having the power, they're very happy just to vote Lisa out this week. They don't like her cooking. They don't like her aggressive question-making. They've definitely turned against her. Even some of her closest, more, people who had her back, say, the Leahs and the McKenzies of the world, I have turned their back to Lisa. And if anything's going to save Lisa, it's going to be Angela's mouth or winning the AI comp, which I think with the right comp, I think she can be a Tucker in. Number 13, moving up 2 spots, is Kenny. He volunteered himself to be on the block, which I think is stupid, but I think he's doing that from a social aspect. He did win a POV comp, and he's starting to have some of the right reads in the house. He's kind of ruining his chance with Angela. She's 100% would have told him information about Quinn having the secret power. Instead, he's being combative, kind of butthurt that she got mad out. But he's telling Tucker, he's kind of getting the read that the girls are kind of in the center of power of this house. And if, they're very likely running the show. And even though there's likely a female leaving this week, people will be like, if the girls are running the show, why is Tucker staying? Well, it's because all the girls love Tucker. If it was a Cam up there, given how things will go later on with Cam, I think there would be discussions of, well, do we want to keep Cam over Angela? I think some of those ladies would have made the vote turn on Cam. So I definitely think Kenny's having some better reads, and he needs to start building inroads and understanding and building out alliances. Because if Angela stays and he wins HOH, Quinn is going to use that power on his HOH, and he's not going to have an HOH for anything to solidify anything. It'll just be a week of safety for him. He says he plans to keep saying, put me up on the block, which isn't a great strategy because eventually they will just knock him off. But we'll see where Kenny goes from here. Number 12, Leah. Leah was so fluctuating this week, or throughout this week. But I think today, between Cam kind of telling her, "Hey, I don't want the showmance thing. It's not good for you. It's not good for me." I mean, I don't think that's great. I think she will eventually get caught saying Cam is the one chasing her. And as somebody who watches the feeds, I feel like Leah is the one provoking that more. And I think that's going to catch up to her at some point with the wrong person as HOH. If, Cam already said this week he would have put Leah up if it was, what he told to Chelsea. And then finally, I think the people Leah will go up against, McKenzie's and others, I think she has less allies in the house and will be happy to leave. She has this extreme crush on Tucker, and she threw all of her energy this afternoon being one-on-one with Tucker, and he wanted nothing with it, and he is very annoyed by Leah doing that. And Tucker, everyone's an HOH. Leah is likely going to be going up because of that. So it's just, I think she's in a very bad spot right now. And even Quinn, who put a lot of time beginning of this week into her, has not felt that it's been reciprocated at, later on in this game. And I think he's ready to cut ties with Leah too. I think she's in a pretty bad spot. I think this house being so anti-showmance and she's kind of looking for a showmance, I just think puts a bad picture on her. And I don't see a chance that she's gonna have a lot to do to recover. I mean, she's down 3 spots this week, and it's just not looking great, in my opinion. Number 11 and staying number 11 is Joseph. Joseph does not have a home. He kind of made a faux pas Final 3 with Kemo and Quinn this week, but I don't think Quinn's very, very loyal to that at all. He was just like, hey, let's do it while you're here. And I also think he's very, interested in the collective coming back together, but nobody in the collective has shown any interest in bringing the collective back together except for Quinn. Except for Joseph. He's very much on his own, and I think if he goes on the block with people like Quinn, with people like, Tucker or others, I think Joseph's going to be the easy house target to send home. He does say he has some people who people say they would trust him, but he's not in any type of core alliance, and I think he'll be somebody who gets, booted here in a few weeks because he hasn't found a home, and he isn't really actively trying to make a structure or a home. And he's kind of, was trying to fight the Angela, vote out earlier this week, wanting to, keep Lisa and kind of vocalizing that he's been getting close with Lisa. And I just think that loses him points with a house that is very anti-Lisa. Oh boy, number 10. He fell so hard in the last couple hours, and that's Quinn. Why is this? Because I felt like he's been sloppy for a while. This week, outing the Pentagon to Rabia and Kemo. To Core and Kemo. Getting involved in, whether he wants to or not, a lot of different Final 2s and Final 3s. He's purposely aligned himself with everybody in the house, and I don't think he has the social game to manage that through like somebody like Suri did last season. I see his house of cards ready to fall, and when Angela outs that he has this superpower, some people might not believe it, but there's already has been people thinking that Quinn has had it, and I think it's going to build a lot of distrust with people. He's not going to get out ahead of this, I feel, and I think just out himself out before it gets too damaging. I just think that Quinn is going to be in a bad position soon and will likely be a mid-game target. He overexcited. He shares way too much info, way too much info with everybody, that they're going to start crossing stories as people get closer together. He's going to get outed and booted. I like him because he talks to the cams. He's definitely a super fan player like Corey was last year, but he's been very sloppy, and now that Angela definitely knows who has the power, she acknowledges it's Quinn, and she's definitely going to, out it here, whether it's before the vote or after the vote. I think he's going to be in a rough spot. I definitely do. But yeah, that's why Quinn's number 10 for me. He dropped all the way down from number 3, 7 drops overall, tied with the most drops of a single player in a week. We'll get on to somebody else here soon, but a player that did move up my rankings this week is McKenzie. She definitely used her power in a very strong way of telling Chelsea and convincing Chelsea, not to put her on the block and not to burn it. And she's building inroads with Chelsea, with Brooklyn, even I think eventually maybe people here with Decor and Rabina. I'm not sure how strong these are. That's why she's ranked number 9 and not higher like a lot of the other women in the house that we'll get to later. But I think she's put a lot of good work, and because the power keeps her safe now for 2 more weeks, I don't think anybody's going to burn it next week for her intentionally. And she'll have the 4th week of power. She has basically 3 more weeks in this house at minimum before she can be a target. And if she keeps up the social game and keeps, giving people validation like the Chelseas of the world, I think she can find her way into a decent spot in this house and maybe make a play in the mid-game, late game, to solidify something a little bit stronger. Number 8, dropping 7 spots like Quinn, is Cam. Oh boy, Cam. I don't know if Cam has played this week terribly and too much. He did get a little bit too flirty, and with Leah, and the house kind of noticed it. But man, Chelsea was digging his grave, and the fact that he was kind of flirting with Leah dug his grave a lot with Quinn. Now, time will tell if his social game will reign supreme and people will still be happy to keep him. And will he actually start distancing himself from Leah like he said he wants to do to Leah later tonight? We'll have to find out. But he was somebody who was in a great position socially, didn't have to do much, could have just stayed quiet, give his information when he needs to, just kind of sink into the game. But he's out wide in the open now, and if there's a week where he's on the block, I think he could be going home, and I think he's going to be going on the block potentially soon, so we'll have to see. But if he survives the block, if he wins the POV and stuff and kind of gets back in, and I think the sooner Leia gets out for him, the better his chances are in this game. But he dropped a whole lot this week from me, and we'll see. Maybe my number 1 will be cursed again this next week. I mean, Cam didn't get as bad as Matt, but man, my number 1s, they fall, and they fall hard each and every week so far. Number 7 is Cedric. Cedric, I feel, has lost kind of his negative energy, from people like Joseph, like people like Quinn. I think that's helped him out a whole lot. He has a good, strong bond with the core. He even has a stronger bond with Angela overall. So, he's working his way back in the house. He still shows a lot of emotional immaturity and kind of runs around the house too much. But he's finding himself, I think, in a better and better spot where if he goes up with Quinn on the block, I think Quinn is the one who goes home. He's a little bit, at the beginning of the week, was going into the HOH room too much, and I think he's a little bit paranoid about losing Chelsea at the moment, but I think that's an okay read to have if he's Cedric. I don't know if I see winner potential yet, but he's giving me a lot, better standing in the house and somebody who I think will be here for a good long while, in my personal opinion, where last week I thought he might get clipped sooner than later, and that's why he was ranked 10 last week. He's moved 3 spots up to 7. Another person who dropped recently, in my opinion, is Tucker. He's staying 6. He was 6 last week. He's currently a nominee on the block, and I think he's pretty safe this week because people like him. But man, you gotta stop going around the people and giving them the exact reason why they should vote you out. Because by the end of this week, they may just vote you out. Outside of that, I can't criticize Tucker's game too much. A lot of people trust him. A lot of people feel he's very authentic and real. He was able to get the power out of McKenzie. He knows about that power. A little bit too hung up on Lisa's power, and I hope he is able to believe Angela when he eventually comes out that Quinn has that power. But Tucker has found himself, by outing the fact that Takor's name came out of Lisa's mouth, and him confirming that with Takor and Kemo want to bring him in when beforehand kind of maybe wanted to get rid of him. And he also has kind of strong bonds with people like Kenny and other people around the bottom. If he stays this week, I think he can find himself moving back up this ranking, but you cannot be on the block and be giving people the exact reason why they should vote you out, because it will eventually start sticking and they may actually do it. I don't think it'll happen this week. I think Angela and Lisa are the perfect 2 other people to go against to protect him, but Tucker, just shut the hell up. Please. Number 5, moving down 1 spot, is Chelsea. Chelsea, as second HOH, I feel has wasted it, in my opinion. She's still in a strong enough position because she does have the Pentagon, and she does have a flourishing relationship with Brooklyn, and even McKenzie and Leah a bit. But Leah is somebody who can easily take Chelsea's spot when it comes to some of her allies, and McKenzie is somebody who has a very public power that I think if it gets out that Chelsea was protecting it like that is, Chelsea could be a prime blockmate with McKenzie and Leah. And you know what happens if McKenzie's there? Well, she takes herself off, and now you got to hope that it's just you and Leah, and you're safe. She's very active and knowledgeable about the game, so I think she will also come off threatening that way, but she hasn't been able to solidify a bigger alliance. In fact, I feel like she's lost some of her members like Cedric and Quinn this week in that Pentagon alliance. They're looking for other things, they're making their own type of deals, so that's why I moved Chelsea down one spot to 5, because it was an HOH run where she wanted to keep the blood off of her hands, but in doing so she didn't really solidify anything, and she's kind of ostracized and pushed away some people who would work with her. Publicly outing Cam when Cam is a great shield for her later into the game. Cedric kind of getting the feeling that she's way too involved with McKenzie and Leah. And even Takor kind of feeling that too. I think Chelsea hurt her brand a little bit this week, and that's why she moved down one spot to number 5. Number 4, moving up 3 spots on that ladder, is Rabia. Rabia's social game is starting to pay off. She's getting very good and very close to Takor and Kemo, who we haven't heard their name yet, so you can get my feeling about their game overall. She's heavily, trusted and involved with both Leah and McKenzie, and the potential of an all-girls alliance overall with the remaining ladies of the BS alliance, the barbershop. And she is, I think, understanding and knowing who her threats are and knowing, who are the people that she should want out. She isn't as active as a game player as some in this house, but this house hasn't been very active gameplay yet much. There's been no solidifying of a big alliance, and I have to say, if a big alliance does happen, Rabia is going to be involved in one of the key pieces in it. And knowing who she's talking to and who she's close to, the Tuckers, the Kemos, and the Takors, as well as the Brooklyns, I think Rabia's in a pretty sweet spot at this house socially, and she can make moves in the mid-game to get herself towards the end, in my personal opinion. Number 3 in my highest ranking man is Kemo. He's up 2 spots from number 5 last week, and he's the one person who's taking information in, keeping it quiet, but actively making maneuvers around the house based on the information that's been given to him. He has quietly distanced himself from Quinn a little bit after Quinn outed all of their alliances, his alliances and him and Kemo's alliances, to the core on Saturday night in the backyard. He definitely has a lot of favor with individuals in the house. He has this very solid social game. He has that kind of great laugh and chuckle to him, like Angela was saying on the live feeds Monday night. And he just overall, I think, is in a very good spot. He showed he's very, he can win comps with the AI comp against both Kenny and Matt. I think him and Takor are 2 valuable pieces that people are wanting to find a way to bring in, and are also 2 people who are kind of building, trying to build out and are looking to build their own structure, something that is desperately needed in this house, in my opinion. And I just think Kemo is in such a sweet spot. And of all the guys, he's probably in the best spot overall to have a chance to get towards the end game and have a way to win this game. Up 6 spots from number 8 last week. I think she's my biggest mover up. It is Takor. I gave her big rankings preseason-wise. I was worried last week she was too quiet, but this week she is nailing parts about the house. She is, taking notes and pushing back and, making sure her self-interested game is put forward, where some other people might not be doing the same. But she's not doing it in a bad way. An example of this is Quinn really wanting to, bring Leah into their 3-person alliance, and she understands that Leah would do nothing for Takor in this matter. Leah is just there for Quinn to have power, so we don't need to worry about Leah coming in. Instead, let's bring 2 people that I'm close to, Rabia and Tucker, in instead, and kind of forcing, I think, Quinn's hand. And once again, Quinn is going to be towards a bottom of his own alliance. She has the right reads with Chelsea and McKenzie and Leah being a little bit too concerned with that, but she isn't attacking them in any type of way. In fact, she's joining in the conversations and saying the right things like, hey, we should do an all-women's thing. We should have an all-girls alliance or all-ladies alliance as this game moves on, which is music to Leah and and McKenzie's ears, keeping the court off their threat level, while also kind of getting a sense of where everybody's at in the house. She was able to get a lot of information, in my opinion, out of Chelsea. She knows about McKenzie's power, and people just seem to trust her. She's kind of shown really good game knowledge and knowing how to move around and what time to move and what time not to. And she recognizes quickly, hey, Lisa was kind of buddying up with me, but I need to back off Lisa, and she's done that very well. I think Takora is set up to be a big move and a big swing when the house eventually does flip later in this game, and I see her core of her, Kemo, and Rabia being a kind of a three-person power group that can turn this game, that can take control of this game as the Pentagon fails to solidify anything bigger at current moment. And they're kind of taking shots at each other and want to take each other out. But number one, up one spot, the person who I think is playing the best game and is in the best position in the house right now is Brooklyn. She was probably the bottom person of the Pentagon last week, and she's managed to make herself, I feel, Chelsea's number one. I would also say she's probably quietly Leah's number one. I think she's very trustworthy with McKenzie, Rabia. I think Takor and Kemo want to bring her in, so that she wants to be in there. She's a top ally for both, Quinn as well. Joseph, trusts Brooklyn a whole lot. Cam trusts Brooklyn a whole lot. Only person who's kind of on the Brooklyn kind of being a power is Kenny. But he has no really big power alliance. He has no really, big network of players to follow or believe. And he's not going to be looking to go after Brooklyn anytime soon based on everything he's told cameras this week. I think Brooklyn is quietly kind of intentionally, unintentionally controlling the house. And her social game is allowing her to get into every kind of nook and cranny alliance and have people trust her and kind of give her more information than maybe she is looking even to get. I don't see her going anytime soon. I think she's well insulated. She's well protected. And as this game goes longer, I don't know if she'll eventually get targeted, later into the game. I can see her with so many of these connections. She's not forcing final twos. She's not even giving anybody finals twos. She's just a natural person people trust and are connecting to. She might escape that double eviction I thought she was due for in the mid or late game. She might find herself making it to the end game and have a chance at winning this game. I'm very impressed with Brooklyn's play. She's been very good socially. She has kind of steered clear of all the drama and problems, and she's wanted in pretty much any alliance that comes up. And that is why Brooklyn is my top-ranked player, which probably means next week she's going to drop 6 or 7 spots because I curse the number one players in my power rankings every week. First it was Matt, then it was Cam. Brooklyn, you're up.